Liam stood outside the sleek glass building of Creative Minds, clutching the acceptance letter that felt like a golden ticket to his dreams. At just 24, he had worked tirelessly to land this job as a graphic designer at one of the top firms in the city. The excitement bubbled within him, but it was quickly overshadowed by the weight of his mother's voice echoing in his mind. "Liam, you have to think about Sophie. She needs your support right now," his mother Maya had insisted just hours before. Sophie, his stepsister, was preparing for a prestigious art competition that could launch her career, but Liam couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. He had sacrificed so much to get to this point, and now his mother wanted him to give it all up for someone who had always been the golden child in their family. "Mom, this is my chance. I've worked hard for this," Liam had argued, his voice cracking with frustration. Maya, with her well-manicured nails wrapped around her coffee mug, had looked at him with a mix of concern and determination. "Sophie has so much potential, Liam. She needs this opportunity. You can always find another job." "Another job?" Liam had scoffed, feeling the anger rise within him. "This isn't just a job, it's my dream." As the argument escalated, Liam felt his heart break a little more. He had always been the one to support his family, but this time it felt like he was being asked to sacrifice his future for someone else's. In a moment of clarity, he made a decision. "I'm leaving," he declared, grabbing his backpack and storming out of the house. "I'll find my own way." With that, he stepped into the unknown, determined to carve out a life that was truly his own. Liam found himself in a small, bustling cafe in a different part of the city, far from the life he had known. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air, mingling with the sound of laughter and chatter. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm of emotions swirling inside him. He had moved into a tiny apartment, furnished with little more than a bed and a desk. The walls were bare, but he was determined to fill them with his dreams. Every day, he worked shifts at the cafe, serving lattes and pastries to customers while sketching designs on napkins during his breaks. One evening, as he wiped down the counter, he met Emma, a fellow barista with a passion for art. She noticed Liam's doodles and struck up a conversation. "You're really talented. Have you thought about showcasing your work?" Liam shrugged, feeling a mix of embarrassment and hope. "I just got rejected from my dream job because my mom wanted me to support my stepsister instead. I'm trying to figure things out." Emma's eyes sparkled with understanding. "You should start freelancing. There are tons of small businesses that need graphic design work. I can help you get started." With Emma's encouragement, Liam began to take on small projects. He designed logos for local businesses and created social media graphics for influencers. Each completed project fueled his passion and reminded him of why he loved design in the first place. As the months passed, Liam's reputation grew. He built a portfolio that showcased his unique style, blending creativity with a modern edge. He even started gaining clients through word of mouth, and soon he was juggling multiple projects at once. But despite his success, he couldn't shake the feeling of resentment towards his family. He often thought about Sophie and how she was likely still relying on their mother's support. The thought of her competing in the art world without him gnawed at him, but he pushed those feelings aside, focusing instead on his own journey. One day, while scrolling through social media, he stumbled upon a post from Sophie. She was standing in front of a gallery, her artwork displayed prominently. The caption read, "So grateful for my family's support." Liam felt a pang of jealousy mixed with sadness. He had sacrificed everything for his own dreams, yet here was Sophie, thriving in the spotlight. He closed his laptop, frustration boiling inside him. "Why does it always have to be about her?" he muttered to himself, clenching his fists. But deep down, he knew he had to let go of the anger. He was building something for himself, and that was what mattered most. Liam's life began to take shape in ways he hadn't expected. His freelance work was thriving, and he was finally able to leave his cafe job to focus on his design projects full-time. With every new client, his confidence grew, and so did his ambition. Emma, who had become his closest friend and unofficial business partner, often teased him about his workaholic tendencies. "You're going to burn out if you don't take a break," she said one evening as they sat in his tiny apartment, brainstorming ideas for a new client. "I can't stop now," Liam replied, his eyes glued to his laptop. "I'm finally getting somewhere. I can't afford to slow down." Emma rolled her eyes but smiled. "Well, at least let me help you. You're not in this alone, you know." With Emma's help, Liam started to expand his business. They created a website to showcase his portfolio and began marketing his services on social media. Within weeks, inquiries started pouring in. Small businesses, startups, and even a few larger companies were reaching out, impressed by his unique designs and professional approach. One day, Liam received an email that made his heart skip a beat. It was from Bright Horizons, a well-known tech company looking for a designer to create branding for their upcoming product launch. The project was massive, and the budget was more than Liam had ever imagined. "This is it," he told Emma, his voice trembling with excitement. "This could change everything." Emma grinned. "I told you you're going places. Now let's make sure you nail this." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of work. Liam poured his heart and soul into the project, staying up late into the night to perfect every detail. When he finally presented his designs to the Bright Horizons team, their reaction was everything he had hoped for. "This is incredible," the project manager said, shaking Liam's hand. "You've captured exactly what we were looking for." The success of the project catapulted Liam's career to new heights. He started receiving offers from other major companies, and his name began to circulate in the design world. For the first time in his life, he felt like he was truly living his dream. But even as his career soared, there was a lingering emptiness he couldn't ignore. He hadn't spoken to his family in over a year, and the thought of Sophie and his mother still weighed heavily on his mind. One evening, as he was scrolling through his emails, a familiar name popped up in his inbox: Sophie. The subject line read, "I need your help." Liam stared at the screen, his heart pounding. He hesitated for a moment before opening the email. "Liam," it began, "I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from, but I don't know who else to turn to. My art career isn't going the way I planned, and I'm struggling to make ends meet. I've been following your success, and I'm so proud of you. I was wondering if you could help me, even just a little." Liam leaned back in his chair, a mix of emotions washing over him. Part of him wanted to ignore the email, to let Sophie figure things out on her own. But another part of him, the part that still cared about his family despite everything, couldn't turn his back on her. He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "What do I do now?" he muttered to himself. Emma, who had been sitting across the room, noticed his troubled expression. "What's wrong?" she asked. "It's Sophie," Liam said, showing her the email. "She's asking for my help." Emma read the email and looked up at him. "Well, what are you going to do?" Liam thought for a moment before replying. "I'll help her, but it's not going to be easy for her this time." The next day, Liam sat in a quiet cafe, waiting for Sophie to arrive. He hadn't seen her in over a year, and he wasn't sure how he felt about this meeting. Part of him was still angry, but another part of him was curious. What had happened to the confident, talented stepsister who always seemed to have everything handed to her? When Sophie walked in, Liam almost didn't recognize her. She looked tired, her once polished appearance replaced by a more subdued, almost defeated demeanor. She spotted him and gave a small, hesitant smile before sitting down across from him. "Liam," she began, her voice soft. "Thank you for meeting me." He nodded, keeping his expression neutral. "You said you needed help. What's going on?" Sophie sighed, fidgeting with the strap of her bag. "Things haven't been going well. After the competition, I thought I'd get offers from galleries or sponsors, but nothing happened. I've been trying to sell my work online, but it's not enough to pay the bills. I even took a part-time job at a coffee shop, but I'm barely scraping by." Liam raised an eyebrow. So, what do you want from me? I need guidance, Sophie admitted, her voice trembling. You've built something amazing and I don't know how to do that. I thought I could make it on my own, but I was wrong. Liam leaned back in his chair, studying her. This was a side of Sophie he had never seen before. Vulnerable, unsure of herself. For a moment, he felt a pang of sympathy, but he quickly pushed it aside. I'll help you, he said finally, but not in the way you're expecting. Sophie looked at him, confused. What do you mean? You're going to work for me, Liam said firmly. I have a new project coming up and I need an assistant. You'll start at the bottom, just like I did. If you're serious about learning, this is your chance. Sophie's eyes widened. Work for you? But I don't know anything about graphic design. You'll learn, Liam replied. And you'll do it the hard way, just like I had to. No shortcuts, no special treatment. Sophie hesitated, clearly taken aback by his offer. I don't know if I can do that. Then figure it out, Liam said, his tone firm but not unkind. This is your chance to prove that you're serious about turning your life around. Take it or leave it. After a long pause, Sophie nodded. Okay, I'll do it. The next week, Sophie showed up at Liam's small office, ready to start her new role. Liam had set up a desk for her in the corner, stacked with files and a laptop that had seen better days. Your first task, Liam said, handing her a folder, is to organize these client files and create a spreadsheet with all the details. Deadlines, budgets, contact information, everything needs to be in order. Sophie frowned, flipping through the folder. This is a lot? Welcome to the real world, Liam said with a smirk. And don't expect me to hold your hand. If you have questions, figure it out. Over the next few days, Sophie struggled to keep up with the workload. She made mistakes, missed deadlines, and even accidentally deleted an important file. Each time, Liam corrected her firmly but fairly, refusing to let her off the hook. You need to pay attention to details, he told her after one particularly frustrating mistake. In this business, one small error can cost you everything. Sophie nodded, her cheeks flushed with embarrassment. I'm sorry, I'll do better. Slowly but surely, Sophie began to improve. She stayed late to finish her tasks, asked questions when she didn't understand something, and even started taking notes to avoid repeating her mistakes. Liam watched her progress with a mix of surprise and pride. For the first time, she was showing real effort and determination. One evening, as they were wrapping up for the day, Sophie approached Liam hesitantly. I just wanted to say thank you for giving me this chance. Liam looked at her, his expression softening. Don't thank me yet. You've still got a long way to go. Began to trust her with more responsibilities. She started managing smaller projects on her own, handling client communications, and even coming up with creative ideas for marketing campaigns. Emma, who had been watching Sophie's progress from the sidelines, was impressed. He's actually pretty good, Emma said one evening as she and Liam worked late in the office. I didn't think she'd last this long. Neither did I, Liam admitted, but she's proving me wrong. Despite her progress, Sophie still had moments of doubt. One evening, as they were cleaning up after a long day, she turned to Liam with a serious expression. Do you think I'll ever be as good as you? Liam paused, caught off guard by the question. It's not about being as good as me, he said finally. It's about finding your own path. You have talent, Sophie. You just need to believe in yourself and keep working at it. Sophie nodded, taking his words to heart. For the first time in her life, she felt like she was earning her place, not just relying on others to carry her. One day, Liam received an email that would change everything. A major art gallery was hosting a competition for emerging artists, and the winner would receive a solo exhibition and a cash prize. He immediately thought of Sophie. You should enter this, he told her, forwarding the email. Sophie's eyes widened as she read the details. Are you serious? I'm not ready for something like this. You're more ready than you think, Liam said. You've been working hard and your skills have improved. This is your chance to show the world what you can do." Sophie hesitated, fear and self-doubt creeping in. "What if I fail?" "Then you fail," Liam said bluntly. "But at least you'll know you tried. And who knows? You might surprise yourself." With Liam's encouragement, Sophie decided to enter the competition. She spent weeks preparing her submission, pouring her heart and soul into her work. Liam and Emma offered feedback along the way, but they made sure to let Sophie take the lead. When the day of the competition arrived, Sophie was a bundle of nerves. Liam accompanied her to the gallery, offering quiet support as she set up her display. As they walked through the exhibition, Sophie couldn't help but feel intimidated by the other artists' work. "Do you think I have a chance?" she whispered to Liam. "You've got more than a chance," he replied. "You've got something they don't. Your story. Let that shine through." The gallery was packed with people, art enthusiasts, critics, and potential sponsors. Sophie stood nervously by her display, her hands fidgeting as she watched people walk by. Liam stayed close, offering quiet encouragement when she needed it. As the evening went on, more and more people stopped to admire Sophie's work. Her pieces were raw and emotional, reflecting the struggles and growth she had experienced over the past year. One of the judges, a well-known gallery owner, spent a long time studying her display before nodding approvingly. By the end of the night, the winners were announced. Sophie didn't win the grand prize, but she was awarded an honorable mention and an invitation to collaborate with the gallery on a future project. It wasn't the solo exhibition she had dreamed of, but it was a huge step forward. "I didn't win," Sophie said quietly as they left the gallery. "No. But you didn't lose either," Liam replied. "You put yourself out there and now people are noticing you. That's how it starts." Sophie smiled, a mix of relief and pride washing over her. "Thank you, Liam, for everything." Over the next few months, Sophie continued to grow as an artist, taking on more projects and building her reputation. She and Liam began collaborating on a new initiative, an art and design program for young creatives who couldn't afford formal education. They called it the Rising Creators Project, and it quickly gained traction in the community. Their mother, Maya, was initially skeptical when she heard about the program. She had always believed in traditional paths to success, like Sophie's competitions or Liam's corporate job offers. But when she saw the impact the program was having on young artists, she began to change her perspective. One evening, Maya showed up at Liam's office unannounced, holding a folder of old family photos. "I've been thinking a lot about the past," she said, sitting down across from him, "and I realize now how unfair I was to you." Liam looked at her, surprised. "What brought this on?" "I saw Sophie's work at the gallery," Maya admitted, "and I've been following your success too. I was so focused on what I thought was best for Sophie that I didn't see what I was taking away from you. I'm sorry, Liam." Liam leaned back in his chair, studying her. He had waited years to hear those words, but now that they were here, he didn't feel the satisfaction he had expected. Instead, he felt a sense of closure. "I appreciate that, Mom," he said finally, "but what matters now is what we do moving forward." Maya nodded, her expression softening. "I want to help with your program. I know I've made mistakes, but maybe I can make up for them by supporting you and Sophie in this." Liam hesitated for a moment before nodding. "Okay, but this time, it's about the bigger picture. No favorites, no shortcuts." "Agreed," Maya said, smiling. The Rising Creators Project quickly became a family effort. Sophie took on the role of mentor, teaching young artists how to refine their skills and find their unique voices. Liam handled the business side, securing funding and partnerships to keep the program running. Maya, to everyone's surprise, became one of their biggest advocates, using her connections to bring in sponsors and donors. One day, as they were preparing for the program's first showcase, Sophie pulled Liam aside. "You know, I used to think you were just being hard on me to get back at me for everything that happened." "And now?" Liam asked, raising an eyebrow. "Now I realize you were teaching me something I never would have learned on my own," Sophie said. "You didn't just help me become a better artist, you helped me become a better person." Liam smiled, a rare moment of pride shining through. "You did the work, Sophie. I just gave you the push you needed." The showcase was a huge success, with dozens of young artists displaying their work to a packed audience. As Liam stood in the back of the room, watching the students beam with pride, he felt a sense of fulfillment he hadn't experienced before. This wasn't just about proving himself anymore. It was about creating something meaningful. Sophie joined him, holding a glass of champagne. "We did it," she said, clinking her glass against his. "No," Liam corrected her. "They did it. We just gave them the tools." As the night went on, Liam spotted Maya talking to one of the students, her face lighting up as she admired their work. For the first time in years, their family felt whole again. Not perfect, but stronger than it had ever been. A few months after the showcase, Liam sat in his office, reviewing applications for the next round of the Rising Creators Project. The program had grown faster than he'd anticipated, with more young artists and designers eager to join. It was exhausting work, but for the first time in his life, Liam felt like he was doing something that truly mattered. Sophie walked in, holding a cup of coffee and a stack of papers. "Here are the final applications," she said, setting them on his desk. "Some of these kids are incredible. I can't wait to see what they create." Liam glanced up at her, a small smile tugging at his lips. "You've come a long way, you know." Sophie laughed, shaking her head. "So have you. I mean, look at this place. You've built something amazing, Liam." Before he could respond, there was a knock at the door. Their mother, Maya, stepped in, holding a familiar envelope. "I found this while cleaning out the attic," she said, handing it to Liam. Liam opened the envelope and immediately recognized the contents. His old acceptance letter from Creative Minds, the company he had dreamed of working for years ago. He stared at the letter for a moment, memories of that painful day flooding back. "I kept it," Maya said softly, "because I knew I'd made a mistake. I thought I was doing what was best for Sophie, but I didn't realize how much I was taking away from you. I'm so sorry, Liam." Liam looked up at her, his expression unreadable. "You don't need to keep apologizing, Mom. What's done is done. Besides," he gestured around the office, "if I'd taken that job, none of this would exist." Maya smiled, tears welling up in her eyes. "I'm so proud of you, both of you." Sophie stepped forward, placing a hand on Liam's shoulder. "You turned something painful into something incredible. That's not just success, Liam. That's strength." Liam nodded, feeling a sense of peace he hadn't felt in years. "Thanks, Soph." Later that evening, as the office quieted down, Liam sat alone at his desk, reflecting on how far he had come. He thought about the sacrifices he had made, the struggles he had endured, and the lessons he had learned along the way. His phone buzzed, pulling him out of his thoughts. It was a text from Emma. "Don't forget, we're celebrating tonight. You deserve it." Liam smiled, grabbing his jacket and heading out the door. As he walked through the city streets, he felt a sense of pride, not just in what he had built, but in the person he had become. This wasn't just about proving his family wrong anymore. It was about creating something meaningful, something that could inspire others to rise above their own challenges. And in the end, that was worth more than any job, any title, or any amount of recognition. As he reached the restaurant where Emma and the rest of his team were waiting, Liam paused for a moment, looking up at the city skyline. He thought about the young artists whose lives were being changed by the Rising Creators Project, about Sophie's growth, and about the bridges he had rebuilt with his family. For the first time in a long time, Liam felt truly at peace. He had turned pain into purpose, and in doing so, he had found something far greater than success. He had found himself.